This is ClarkeTheKnife, and these are the Rockscale Designs scales for the Spyderco Bodacious. So the Bodacious, here's the original version, already isn't cheap. This is a $225 knife, and these scales are $106, so they turn into a $331 knife. But I'll assure you, these scales make all the difference, and the Bodacious with these scales is simply a better knife. So these scales are all titanium, made in Fountain Valley, California, and they're immaculately machined, with every pin and screw fitting perfectly, and beautiful hand chamfers around every edge. They've got heavy internal machining, and get rid of the steel liners on one side, so they make the whole knife only a smidge heavier. This set has a beautiful, what they call a media wash, where they blast the scales and then stone wash them, which gives it the same sort of matte, worn-in finish you see on a Sebenza that's been carried for half a decade. But more importantly, these scales fix one of the Bodacious's biggest issues, the balance. So your stock Bodacious is a pretty blade-heavy knife. It takes this stock all the way out to the tip, and it's got fairly light scales, and so the knife can feel imprecise and just a little awkward in use. Just feels like the blade is controlling the cut, not the handle. Spyderco tried to balance it out with this backspacer, but that just doesn't do enough. These Rockscale scales, on the other hand, even though they're not that much heavier overall, they spread the weight out over the entire scale. The balance point goes slightly further back, about right here, right where your middle finger lands. And the whole knife gets more handle heavy. As a result, it feels much more agile in the hand and much easier to use. So even at $106 more, I like the Bodacious much more with the Rockscale scales installed than I do the stock Bodacious. For $331, this is a better knife for $331 than this one is for $225. These are great scales. They're made by a great small business, and I highly recommend them. If you want to hear my full thoughts on these scales, check out my full review.